Hello, I'm Martha Masad, the Healthy Living Coach, and I'm here today to talk about what language are you speaking? Have you ever caught yourself saying, I'm just not disciplined? I have no willpower. I start things and then I stop. And maybe you have even said, I could never get up in front of people and speak. I have said all of those things. In fact, if negative self talk were a foreign language, many of us would be considered bilingual. And if it were offered in school, I would have probably have graduated with honors. In college, I had friends preparing to go to Kenya with the Peace Corps. Before they left, they were learning Swahili. And they didn't just open a textbook, they went full commitment. Sticky notes everywhere. The cabinets, the doors, the mirrors, the couch, the sink. I honestly think the coffee maker introduced itself in Swahili. They surrounded themselves with the language because they knew you don't learn a new language by visiting it occasionally. You learn it by living it. And it made me think, what if that's exactly what we need to do with how we talk to ourselves? I realized I had been speaking self doubt for years. I didn't even notice it because I thought of myself as a positive thinker. Instead, my bilingual language was built more on securities, fears, and worries. Let's be honest. We've all said things like, I'm just not consistent. I'm bad at this. I'll never change. I can't do that. And we don't just say it once, we repeat it over and over and over again until one day we believe it and it sounds like the truth. Not because it was true, though, it was because it was familiar. Maybe we've simply become fluent in the wrong language. Our brains are wired to notice danger before opportunity. That's what helped our ancestors survive. But today, it can also make our negative thoughts feel more believable than they really are. Nobody earns a black belt or learns to play an instrument by saying, I'm already good. You practice one movement over and over until one day it becomes part of who you are. Maybe our thoughts work the same way. If repetition creates fluency, then some of us have been practicing the wrong language for years. All right, I'm going to get personal. There have been several seasons in my life when I completely felt overwhelmed. After 2 divorces, after losing my son, and most recently after an accident that left me unable to walk for months. I discovered something, though. The conversation inside my head mattered more than I realized as I was sitting and not being able to get about. Scientists tell us our brains are constantly adapting. The pathways we use most become the easiest to travel, of course, which means every time we repeat, I can't, I'll never, I'm just that not I'm just not that kind of person. We're strengthening those pathways. But here's the wonderful news. Our brains are also remarkable and adaptable, and we can build new pathways. What if we flipped it? What if we started saying, I'm learning to be consistent. I'm learning to take care of myself. I'm learning to follow through, and I can do this. For me, it meant replacing my any old downer thoughts with new ones. Sometimes that meant writing encouraging words on index cards and those sticky notes. Sometimes it meant reading scriptures or inspiring quotes over and over until hope became louder than the fears, the doubts, and the worries. Looking back, maybe those Peace Corps volunteer friends were teaching me something far bigger than watching them learn their Swahili. They knew immersion changes us. We become fluent in whatever language surrounds us. What if we surrounded ourselves with that new language? Sticky notes on the mirror, on the cabinet. Put one on the refrigerator. After all, that door sees more of us than most of our friends. Something powerful happens when you change the way you speak to yourself. You just don't change your words, you change your identity. So the next time you catch yourself saying, I can't do this, maybe you're not describing who you really are. You're just simply speaking the language you've practiced the longest. And every new language begins with one new word, one new sentence, one new conversation. Choose your words carefully. Eventually, they become your voice. The question is, what language surrounds you? So the next time you hear yourself say, I can't, because maybe you're not describing who you are, you're simply speaking the language you've practiced the longest. Every new language begins with one new word, one new sentence, one new conversation. If this story resonated with you, I'd love for you to join my free weekly Rise Immediately Reset call. Every week, we explore practical ways to build healthier habits, renew your thinking, and create lasting change, one simple step at a time. You'll find the link below in the description. And if you've enjoyed this story, I'd love for you to subscribe because I'll be sharing more stories like this that connect health, resilience, and the way we think. Until next time, keep rising one small step at a time. And be sure to stay tuned for Howie and Noor.